Hey guys, I'm Chris with Headlight Revolution, and I'm super excited that you tuned into this video. Welcome to our LED headlight bulb shootout video. We've got this Dodge Ram reflector headlight that uses an OEM Halogen H11 bulb. So we have 15 different LED headlight bulbs from different companies. And we're gonna test them with a digital lux meter to really see how bright they are and how they all compare to stock. Now, a lot of people post videos that say LED headlight bulbs are the worst or they don't work very well, but they're only testing like one or two bulbs that they've got the cheapest things they can find. And that's not the case with our video. We got the best of the best of what's available in the market today, so we're really gonna be able to shine some light on what's available. We got bulbs from Oracle and Oxbeam and Supernova and Putco and Philips and Vehicode and super bright LEDs, GTR lighting, Morimoto, Kenson. We got everything we could find that'll fit this Dodge Ram headlight. So we're gonna test them, gonna bring you along for the ride, and hopefully when we're done, you'll have a pretty good idea of what you should be putting in your vehicle. And if they don't work as good as the original halogen bulb, we're gonna shoot them. To determine if an LED headlight bulb is better than the original, we're going to judge it on two characteristics. A, the maximum lux, that's the brightest point of the whole beam pattern, and B, the actual shape of the beam pattern. Here you can see the beam pattern is a traditional looking reflector halogen headlight, kind of dingy yellow, but it only makes 720 maximum lux at its brightest point. So now let's do each of the LED bulbs and compare those to the performance of the OEM bulb. The first bulb we're going to talk about is the Philips H11 Extreme Vision LED. They say it's a 6000K color that only produces 700 lumens per bulb. My guess is that's effective lumens where other manufacturers are describing raw lumens. It's a pretty nicely constructed bulb, and the name Philips tells you that it's probably going to have a long lifespan and good performance. It has 6 Philips LED chips on each side with a passive heatsink that doesn't use a fan. It has a very small plastic encased driver, which is nice because it's got these tabs for mounting, wire loom on the connectors, and a very high quality H11 cell connector that looks about the same as you'd find on the factory wire harness. It looks easy to install, there's no connections to make, but let's see how it performs in the headlight. Now, the Philips LED Extreme Vision H11 bulb is technically advertised as a fog light. Now, you wouldn't know that if you're shopping online unless you're really paying attention. This thing only makes 950 maximum lux at 23 feet, which is only 32% brighter than stock. Is it an improvement? Yes, but there's way brighter options. The beam pattern on this bulb is great. This LED bulb looks an awful lot like the VLED's SMZ. On their website, they say it's 2,400 lumens, and this box that we got on Amazon says 6,600 lumens, which is insane. There's no way this bulb is 6,000 lumens. The VLED's website says theirs is indexable, and this one is not, so maybe there's something different about it. It also has a slightly different chip, but you can get a bulb that looks like the VLED's bulb all over the place, so it's very similar, but maybe not quite the same. This one is from CH Tool Light. And we got it on Amazon. It's a pretty popular design that a lot of people like with the ceramic and the SMD LED chip. It uses a flexible heatsink and a really long cord. There's no connection here for corrosion to happen. It's got a pretty nice H11 connector, and it says it's 6000K color. It's definitely accurate in color. You got that light bluish white color, and it's definitely brighter than stock by 43%. This one comes in at 1030 maximum lux. The beam pattern itself leaves a little to be desired. It's got that hump at the top, but overall, it's not the worst pick. This LED bulb uses a Cree XHP50 LED, one on each side. Now, this is the exact same thing that Street Glow sells as their XHP50 LED bulb, but it's in a different box. We got this one on Amazon, and you can find different variations of this exact same LED bulb from different suppliers. For example, there's another one online you can get that's like a weird green teal color that's the same color as the box here. Or you can get this silver one online from a generic supplier, or the exact same bulb from Street Glow. Now, the box that we got here says it's 6,500 Kelvin color temperature, and that's what Street Glow says. They say they're 6,000 lumen LED bulbs, and that's also what Street Glow says. Obviously, this bulb is not 6,000 lumens. One thing to watch out for with LED headlight bulbs is sometimes they kind of don't tell you all the facts. Maybe it's 6,000 for 2 bulbs, but they don't indicate that, and then people think it's a 6,000 bulb, and then you got people saying they have 12,000 lumen bulbs because now they think one bulb is 6,000 lumens. Be careful where you get your information. Let's see how this one works in that headlight. Now this bulb came in at the second brightest of all 15 we tested. Maximum lux at 23 feet was 1,680 lux. Super bright. However, the beam pattern is kind of awful. It's way too tall. You're going to have tons and tons and tons of glare. You remember the stock bulb? It's got that little hot spot in the middle and kind of a short vertical beam pattern. We're not getting that with this bulb. So although it's super bright, I wouldn't want it in my headlight. Here's the Oxbeam Series F16 LED headlight bulbs. On the back it says extremely bright, pure white 6000K as sunlight. On their website, they also say they're 6,000 lumen LED bulbs, which is impossible using just these 2 SMD LEDs. So maybe they're saying it's a 3,000 lumen bulb and you get 2 in the box. Got to watch out for that. It's actually a pretty well constructed LED bulb for the money. It uses a fan in the heatsink for cooling, and then it's got this funny little connection to the driver, which I'm not a big fan of. All these exposed pins, yeah, it's got some O-rings, but it's not really a true waterproof connection, and all the wiring is exposed here. That's probably going to be your main source of issue down the road in terms of longevity. It does have a pretty decent connector that plugs into the vehicle, and let's see how it actually performs in real life. We actually get tons of people asking us to test the Oxbeam LED headlight bulbs because they're actually pretty popular on Amazon, and I'm happy to do it because look at this thing. If all you thought was important was lumen, you're wrong. This thing's 75% brighter in measured light output, 1,250 maximum lux, but that beam pattern is near unusable. The hot spot is a giant C shape. It's not very wide, it's way too tall. This thing would give you no light down the road and blind everybody else on the street. We've got a surprise in store for this light bulb. This is an interesting bulb. It's got this big red plastic cover over the fan heatsink, and I like this. The driver, first of all, it's huge. I don't know why it's so big, but it says MVP LH12S headlighting, like it's a verb. It says input voltage 11 to 30 volts and power at 45 watts. Now, this is actually the exact same bulb that you can get from LED Concepts with their Axiom series. LED Concepts has a 25 watt 3200 lumen bulb and a 45 watt 4500 lumen bulb just like this one. Now we didn't get this one from LED Concepts, but it's a pretty sure bet that it's the exact same thing, but they put their engraving on this driver. Now at 4500 lumens per bulb, I can believe it because of how many LEDs are employed on this thing. It's massive. It's got this connection between the bulb and the driver, but it's a pretty good one. My only real concern is why is the driver so big? Might as well put an HID kit at this point. This thing's actually pretty bright, coming in at 120% brighter than stock. That's a measured max lux of 1,580. That's a lot of light, but look at that beam pattern. It's streaky, it's got a big, huge, round hot spot in the middle of the beam pattern. It's kind of tall. This thing would be a disaster to drive with. Now here's the Supernova V3 LED headlight bulbs. It's kind of an interesting design. It's pretty simple, but it works really well. You've got this passive heatsink that's actually a flexible braid that makes it really easy to squash down and make it fit inside just about any headlight housing. You've got 6 Philips Lumileds ZES chips on each side and your standard LED driver with a really heavy-duty H11 wire connection here. You do have a screw-on style connection to the driver that does a pretty good job at keeping water out, and these things are rated at 3,000 lumens apiece. I'll show you in a second that the light output from this bulb is pretty impressive. The Supernova V3 is the third brightest bulb we tested in terms of lux. However, the second brightest bulb has a terrible beam pattern compared to this one, so it's kind of tied with second place in my opinion. This thing makes 1,660 maximum lux at 23 feet, which is 130% brighter than the original halogen bulb. Really cool bluish white 6000K color. It's got a flat beam pattern with the hot spot in about the right spot, and it's way brighter than stock. this is a solid headlight bulb. We get a lot of requests from people to test this brand of bulbs. This is the Opt7 Flux Beam LED bulb. Now it says 2 years warranty, it says amazing color, 6000K brilliant sky white color, 3,500 lumens per bulb thanks to arc glass technology. And this is the part that really gets me. It says the one LED lights that's 5 times brighter than halogen, and output that meets and exceeds factory output. Not really sure what all that means. I feel like there's no evidence to backing that up. First of all, at 3,500 lumens of light, this bulb is at best 3.5 times brighter, and they're claiming 5 times, really preying on people's ignorance. Now, this is one of the cheapest and most popular LED headlight bulbs on Amazon. And I feel like that's kind of interesting because when I got this out, it really reminded me of the Oxbeam bulb. Opt7 says 3,500 lumens per bulb. Oxbeam says 3,000 lumens per bulb. And they're like super similar. They both use a single domed SMD bulb. They both have essentially the exact same driver and connection. And one says it's 500 lumens brighter than the other. So it'll be interesting to see how this Opt7 compares to the Oxbeam that we already tested. If you already bought this light bulb, I feel sorry for you. This is the second worst one we tested, not only in total light output, but the beam pattern. This thing's only 10% brighter than the original halogen bulb. Why even spend the money? The original halogen bulb was 720 lux. This thing's only 790 lux. We got bulbs that are doing 1700 lux. Even if it was a little brighter, look at that beam pattern. You can't drive with that. What's going on? It has this weird C-shaped beam. It's not very wide. It's not very bright. This thing's got to go. The Morimoto 2-stroke LED bulb is kind of an interesting piece. A lot of people don't understand that it's sort of a play on words based on the design. It actually resembles a 2-stroke engine's piston. You've got the connecting rod and the piston. It's a really clever design. And the cool thing about the Morimoto 2-stroke is you're not going to find anything else that looks like this one. It's hard to find a unique bulb design nowadays in the LED headlight bulb world, and the Morimoto 2-stroke is one of them. It's probably one of the best, if not the best, constructed LED bulb that we've seen. Not only is it super high quality, powder coated aluminum, the collars are removable, and they are also aluminum with really nice rubber silicone O-rings. You've got the real deal Cree LED chips on the top. You've got another good O-ring here, and then there's a fan assembly inside. When you go here, you've got the Tech Flex coating on the wires so that there's never going to be an abrasion on the wiring. Really nice cable reliefs. You keep going and we've got a really nice connection that goes from the bulb to the driver. The driver itself is a little bit large, but not so large to be confused with an HID ballast. It's still easy enough to tie up somewhere out of the way. It's not going to hinder your install, and a really heavy-duty connector to plug into the vehicle. Now, the interesting thing about the Morimoto 2-stroke bulbs that you don't get from anybody else is it also comes with an install kit. In here, you've got your digital download install instructions, so you can get your instructions online. This is where your install collars come, and some adapters depending on the type of bulb you get. Last but not least, something that you don't see from anybody are these install caps. The idea is if you put this bulb in and it doesn't clear your dust cover, you can drill a hole in your dust cover, put this cap on, and then this bulb's gonna fit in anything. A really ingenious way to make sure that these bulbs can be put in any housing. Now, I'm not sure about the ratings that they give this bulb. They say 5,000 raw lumens per bulb, and that's stretching it. I don't know what the effective lumen of this particular LED chip is, so let's plug them in and see how they compare. The Morimoto 2-stroke is bright. This thing makes 1,410 maximum lux at 23 feet, which is 96% brighter than stock. That's almost double the light output. Now, the beam pattern is a little bit taller than we like, but it's not the worst. So it's a decent upgrade, but it's not the best. It's definitely a wider beam pattern, so if you're looking for that in an LED headlight bulb, this one should do the trick. The Putco Silver Lux LED bulbs are the second generation of the Putco line of LED headlight and fog light bulbs. They use Philips LumiLEDs LEDs, 4 chips per side of the bulb. The dual beam bulbs, they are rated at 4,000 lumens, but the single beam bulbs like this one are rated at 2,000 lumens per bulb, and that's probably pretty accurate. They use a flexible braided heat sink style to reduce heat and make them easy to fit in any application. They've got your traditional simple plastic and rubber connection to the driver, pretty reliable, and they've got your standard LED driver with the ears on it for easy mounting. Has a nice heavy-duty H11 connection for easy install on your vehicle, but they only come with a 1-year warranty. And at only rated at 2,000 lumens per bulb, I'm curious to see how these will hold up. Generally speaking, people revere Putco as one of the best brands out there. They have a large United States-based manufacturing facility, and I believe the idea with these particular bulbs is they're imported and then assembled in the USA. Putco Silverlux has a pretty decent looking beam pattern. For some reason, the hot spot seems to be sunk into the beam a little bit, but I think overall this one would perform pretty well. It does 1,150 maximum lux, which is only 60% brighter than the stock bulb, but definitely an improvement. When we were putting this bulb in, I had to use the built-in collar adjustment to get the beam pattern correct. So if you're going with Putco, make sure you read up on how to align the LED bulb in the headlight to get the best performance. Back in the pioneer days of HID conversion kits, a lot of people thought Kenson was the brand to get, like 10 years ago. And so when I saw these pop up, I couldn't help myself. We had to check out the Kenson LED bulbs. And I tell you what, you see this box, this big aluminum box listed. I'm like, well, yeah, I could get the bulbs, and then we could put, tackle or supplies in here. It'd be like a little traveling toolbox. So I was almost more excited about this aluminum box. And the funny thing is it showed up just destroyed, and then we got another one and it showed up destroyed. These are not strong boxes. Don't buy this box, or don't buy these LED bulbs with a box. Trust me, it's not a good idea. They say it's a 60-watt LED bulb, and what they're saying is that it uses 3 10-watt Cree LED chips on it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They also say it makes 6,000 lumens per bulb, which is fine if you consider that the Cree 10-watt LEDs make about 1,000 lumens a piece, but that's like laboratory numbers. The actual effective lumen is going to be way closer to like 1,500 or 2,000 on this bulb. Interesting thing about the Kenson bulbs, kind of like the old GTR Lighting Gen 2 bulbs, is that they've got these replaceable color shields so you can actually change the color. So if you want something that allows you to change the color, the Kenson 60-watt LED bulbs might be a good fit. This is an all-in-one type bulb with the fan and the driver all contained in one area on the heatsink. There's no connection, which is super nice, and they do have a pretty good connector for plugging into your vehicle. I'm telling you, this box is now what you want. It's cardboard with aluminum foil on it. It's a cardboard box. The original halogen bulb made 720 lux. The Kenson only made 590. Save your money. This thing's 18% less bright than the stock light bulbs. This is the worst bulb we tested. It's got the worst beam pattern. It's got the least amount of light output. There's a special place in hell for this light bulb. The GTR Lighting Gen 3 Ultra Series LED headlight bulb has proven to be one of the best we've ever tested. If you go look at our other videos, you'll see that this one time and time again comes out on top, but we've never tested it among this many different LED bulbs, so I'm really excited to see how it performs in this large of a scope. Now, it actually reminds me of the Philips LED bulbs. You can see some very strong similarities design-wise and LED chip choices also. They both use the Philips Lumiled ZES chips, but the GTR lighting one, because it draws more power, has a larger heat sink. It also has a different driver, and it uses a chrome reflector instead of this satin colored reflector. So it'll be interesting to see how this one compares against its Philips counterpart. Now this bulb uses passive cooling, which means it's got this heat sink that has an open fin design. There's no fan, there's no flexible braids in there. It also has a really nice metal H11 style collar, and it's got a very intuitive, this is actually one of my favorite driver connections out there. You've got some arrows, you line up the arrows, you can spin it around and spin it around, you can't mess it up. It clicks in and you push. And it's got a pretty decent waterproof connection between the ballast and the driver. I love the fact that the driver is tiny. It's a really high quality driver, it's made of aluminum, and you don't even have to attach it to something, it's so light. Lastly, the connectors are second to none on this GTR Lighting Gen 3 LED headlight bulb. It's a super heavy duty H11 connector. The GTR Lighting Gen 3 LED headlight bulb has a lifetime warranty, is a 6000K color rating, and produces 3,700 lumens per bulb. We've never done such a large-scale LED headlight bulb test as this one, so it's interesting that even against 14 other LED headlight bulbs, it comes out on top. The GTR Lighting Gen 3 Ultra Series LED headlight bulb is the brightest bulb in the set. It's 140% brighter than stock, producing a massive 1,730 maximum lux. It's the brightest LED bulb we've tested, and it's got, by far, the best beam pattern. Here's another XHP50 LED headlight bulb. Now, right now, you're not going to find a ton of people selling this under their brand in the States, but it's pretty easy to find this one on Alibaba, on Amazon, and eBay. So if you see a bulb that looks like this one, trust me, it's the same thing. Now, it's the Cree XHP50 LED on both sides. It's a domed style SMD, and that's the exact same bulb that's used on the Street Glow bulb. Now, the Street Glow bulb, they advertise somehow 6,000 lumens per bulb, and the one with the spiral finned heat sink, they advertise 6,100 lumens per bulb. So it'll be interesting to see if the driver has anything to do with it. Now, the idea with heat sinks is the engineering that goes into the heat sink design will allow them to more efficiently pull heat away from the bulb, which means they could kind of supercharge the driver and send more power to the LEDs. So this one uses a fan and kind of an encapsulated heat sink. This other bulb, using the same LED, uses this wide open, they call it a spiral finned heat sink with a whole bunch of grooves cut into it for massive surface area. But I gotta laugh at what this box says. I kind of love it. 7 times brighter than factory, which is insane. A factory bulb is around that 900 to 1100 lumen range. If this is 6100, simple math will tell you that it's not 7 times brighter. It says perfect light beam, extreme lumens output, low power consumption. And then this is actually kind of hilarious. 360-degree heat dissipation, showing that lighting. It shows your little color thing over here that says halogen bulbs, like a 3000K gold, and our LED bulbs are like a blinding white light. So you really got to be careful with some of these bulbs because they'll straight up lie to you. There's things on this packaging that they're telling you that are just totally not true. It also says, you know, SEMA. What does SEMA have to do with this light bulb? I have no idea. Because of the cable designation on this bulb, it barely fit in the Ram headlight. There's not a whole lot to say about this one. It's only 57% brighter than stock, made a maximum lux of 1,130, and the beam pattern isn't very good. When we were looking online for popular LED headlight bulbs, the 3 that kept coming up are Oxbeam, Opt7, and this brand, Vehicode. This is basically your normal bulbs that you would get on Amazon. You search H11 LED headlight bulbs, and those 3 are what show up. They're the cheapest, they are the most common, they're like the best sellers. So in this video, you finally get to see if they're worth spending your money on. Now, those 3 brands are so interesting to me because here's the Oxbeam, here's the Vehicode, and here's the Opt7. And they all have a lot of strong similarities. They all use the same type of LED chips. They all use the same sort of fan-based heatsink, and they all use the exact same driver. It's like they're the same company with different brands and different colors. I mean, what are you really buying here? Vehicode said, let's put a funky honeycombed white grate on our heatsink. And Opt7 said, let's make them as cheap as possible. Who needs a reflector? Let's just make it a bare circuit board. And then Oxbeam said, we're gonna make them, gold with this cap on top that screws off. They all seem like the same thing, so it's cool to have them all in this one video so that we can see how different they are or aren't. It says 6000K color, 3200 lumens, huge lifespan. And the funny thing about the Vehicode LED bulbs is on the chart here, it says that they're all DOT approved, which is a blatant lie. If I'm buying an LED headlight bulb and the company who makes it is willing to lie to my face about the lumen rating and the regulation certification, I'd pass. However, we're still going to see how it works in the Dodge Ram headlight. This was the 4th worst LED headlight bulb we tested, coming in at only 1010 maximum lux at 23 feet, which is only 40% brighter than stock. Because it's brighter than stock, does not have a hot spot, and is a very tall beam, you're going to be blinding people and you're not going to be seeing very far down the road. I'd say save your money. Let's shoot it. These bulbs we found online from a company called Autofeel because they say that they are 8,000 lumens per bulb. Now the funny thing is that they are suspiciously identical to the Oracle Lighting 4,000 lumen bulb. They're the same thing. It's also the same thing that Super Bright LEDs is now selling as a 4,000 lumen LED bulb. That's a really common thing that we see in the LED headlight market is one bulb comes out and 5 or 6 different companies slap their brand on it and say, hey, look what we invented. They're all from the same place. They're all the same thing. The only difference between the Autofeel brand, the Super Bright LEDs brand, and the Oracle brand version of this bulb is the brand that's printed on the side. Now, it has an adjustable collar. It uses real Philips Luxeon ZES chips. Looks like 4 on each side, and they produce about 4,000 raw lumens. You can see them in different colors, but everything else is the same. So let's plug this one in and see how the 4,000 lumen LED bulb does in this test. We'll have to disqualify this one. It wouldn't fit in the Dodge Ram headlight, but we have tested this bulb in other applications, and we're usually getting performance that's on par with like the Putco Silver Lux, about 1100 lux in this sort of a test. So if you want the Oracle 4,000 lumen bulbs, they're okay, but maybe not for the Ram. The last bulb we're going to show is the Supernova V2. Now this is actually the exact same bulb as the Putco Night Lux. Now Putco discontinued their branded version of this bulb about a year ago, and now they only sell the Silver Lux. So this one's actually going away, but it has been really, really popular for a lot of years. It's got Cree LED domed SMD chips on each side. It's non-adjustable. It's got the braided heat sink, so it's really easy to put in different headlights. It's got a tiny little driver, and they're rated at about 3,000 raw lumens. It's a 6,000K color temperature, and in the Dodge Ram headlight, I bet it works pretty good. So even though this is an older style bulb and Putco discontinued their version of it, they're still available online, so let's test it and see how it compares. This bulb comes in at a 40% increase in light over stock, measuring 1005 maximum lux at 23 feet. It's got a pretty strong hot spot, but the beam pattern's a little bit taller than we like to see, especially compared to some of those newer bulbs. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me. I know that was a ton of information and a really long video, but I feel like now we've got a pretty good idea of what works and what doesn't in the world of LED headlight bulbs. Next time you're looking for LED headlight bulbs for your next project, check out the bulbs that actually functioned better than the halogen bulb. And next time somebody tells you all LED headlight bulbs are garbage and they're all the same, show them this video. There's a vast difference between one brand or one style and the other. They're not all the same. Not all LED headlight bulbs are created equal. And it's pretty safe to say that they're getting better and better all the time. It's only a matter of time until LED headlight bulbs will surpass an HID conversion kit, and they'll be the norm in automotive lighting upgrades. Thanks for watching. Check out our other videos where we talk about the differences in LED bulb construction and what you want out of an LED bulb, or our different vehicle install guides so you can see how to do these types of bulbs installed in your truck. Of course, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next video. And of course, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Google+, so you can get a hold of us however you want.